saw him. He was chilling, breaking down the Henny, chilling. I said, that's my man right there. Because now I can be me. I don't need a bow, no disrespect. I don't need a bow tie to be walking tight and shit. If it's popping off, it's popping off. You see what I'm saying? So this, why this brother was so significant in bringing this information. So with no further ado, I need you to put your hands together for brother all the way from Atlantis.
I wish you could hear him talk. You know, it's the brother from the UK. Wish you could hear him talk and all. He came ocean to be put to work. but you know, and you say you and I always ask the question. Well, you UK by what island? And you say what, Barbados? Yeah. See, you know, very interested. And the other brother that's coming, Emmanuel. They're doing the whole Canadian thing, and that's a whole island connection and different things like that, you know. So it's real key. This stuff is getting all over the globe. I'm getting all over the globe and all, you know. They contacted me a couple of years ago. You know, I was like, well, I'm waiting on my passport and stuff, you know, but you know how lazy a nigga is, you know. But it's coming. And then when I tried to get them, when I applied for one, that's when the whole thing got swamped, when they told everybody they had to have a passport to go into Canada. Then all of a sudden they got jammed up, and they had to delay that process. You see, so it's just interesting how things go.
But they're making that money, ain't they?
Yeah.
They're making it.
You see, so now the day is a very unique day. Not only because it's Easter. Easter can be found traced all the way back to ancient Kemet. Especially with the Easter egg hunt that you now, even to this day, and we know that after the story goes that after Osiris was cut up, and this is mythology. Osiris never existed as an actual human. You see what I'm saying? These are stories actually that's talking about a future race, talking about us. You see what I'm saying? After Osiris was cut up, Isis in order, or Aset, in order to find the parts of the body, they used the children of the Nile in the mythology to find the actual pieces of Osiris or Osar. So in so many words, that's what the origin of the whole Easter egg hunt, as well as the whole fertility aspect from the goddess Ishtar, Astarte, Anana, Het-Heru. This is also a great day for that also, as far as the whole fertility aspect of the whole the bunny rabbit and all of that stuff. So they took ancient festivals and then they fused the Christian stuff into it. You see what I'm saying? And this is how this happened. Let's take, for instance, one of the great ancient festival days that was set up by the Druids, which we now know that the Druids were none other than an earlier form of the Camites that migrated into Europe long before the Moors. You see what I'm saying? The Moors were what, the 800, 700, 800, but we're talking about that migrated into to Europe and built Stonehenge. And they had these rituals, these Druid rituals, and this is the basis for your Wiccan and your witchcraft stuff. This is all the practice and mysteries of Isis, or Aset. And so the Wiccans had several festival days in Europe. One of the festival days in Europe was honoring the god Pan, Dionysus, which is all forms of Osiris, and the Green Man, and which is the god of nature, the god of love. And the whole Osirian mystery in Europe. And later on, that was replaced with St. Patrick's Day, but they kept all the motifs, the green, the green man, and a lot of the motifs that go into to St. Patrick's had nothing to do with St. Patrick's. So in so many words, they can go and take an earlier festival and just set an icon in the middle of it, and you would think that the new person they set this stuff around had something to do with the inception of this particular festival. But the same thing happened with December 25th, which is basically, it's a day for all ancient gods. All ancient gods, fire gods, sun gods, or what have you, and later on, and also Heru, that later on became the whole Jesus thing. You see what I'm saying? And we'll get into some stuff that actually happened on that actual day. On that actual day. So now what we're going to do is so I want to put that in context with this whole Easter thing. But today is a very special day because we're going to honor, and I'm going to see if I can put this up here. We're going to honor, see, does this thing come on? Let's see. This is the brother C. Freeman L. Let's see, I got to see if I can hit it again. Here it is. This is an ancient master that just made the transition. Do me a favor, cut down the lights a little bit, just you dim them a little bit so they can see a picture of this brother. This brother, I don't know, C. Freeman L was about, yeah, that's cool. C. Freeman L was about, I don't know, about 6'4", 6'5", and was one of the master teachers. Right after I started my lecturing, the first lecture I did was the Dogon lecture, like June 17th, 1992. About the end of that year, we realized when I did a couple of lectures, and we had a black intelligentsia group, and we realized we was going to have to get into forms of meditation. I was like, damn. I said, man, well, we're going to find the type of person to teach us the certain way. I put another brother down I was in the Dr. Ben's mystery system before it became defunct. And I put this other brother down with the Dr. Ben's mystery system, a brother from Africa. And he later on went from the Dr. Ben's mystery system and got in Raul Nefer's group. The whole Raul Nefer group, Set Society. And he became his spiritual son. And so he was dealing with a certain amount of meditation techniques. I said, well, I tell you what, brother, I'm going to get a couple of crew together, get a couple of guys together, and we're going to come and we're going to get into some of these techniques. Oh, well, brother, I got to do a reading on that. I'm like, wait a minute, nigga, now. I put you down with the Dr. Ben shit back in the day. Now, all of a sudden, now, you done got all high and mighty, you got to do a fucking reading. I say, see how niggas are? I said, that's all right. So what happened was, that was in the fall of the year. So by the first of 2003, along came the master that we needed. It's the brother C. Freeman L, who did enormous amounts of lectures and stuff. So he did his lecture set up on classrooms. Now it's very key at this particular time because I was one of the first crew of students in Atlanta, but it's very key that we honor him today in New York because after Atlanta, one of the first stops on his journey to come to teach a certain amount of classes was New York. Was anybody in here that went through any C. Freeman L classes from New York? So that was one of the first stops. It's a whole nother crew because I've been at this for a while. But nevertheless, he came and he taught here. Now the deal here is, first of all, I want to pour his favorite drink. Old English 800. Pour his favorite drink on to the day as a libation. I feel very honored because I always was a little jealous of the guys out there, the Crips. A little jealous of the Crips and the Bloods when they would pour for the brothers who ain't here. So we get to do this. And so it's the greatest thing is for him, this is one of his greatest drinks. It's Old English 800. So we're going to pour some Old English 800 for him. And we did a big memorial last Sunday, down in Atlanta, around 3 o'clock. And he had maybe about 25, 30 students that came out. And we just sat around and talked, sat around and talked. And did a major memorial, but we forgot the Old English. You see what I'm saying? So we got the Moorish Camel because he was a master Moor. And he was a part of a Moorish crew out of Ohio, which is a real long-standing tradition of the whole Moorish thing. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to pour him some Old English. And then the brother Panic let us know that he was talking to the brother Tefiru, or Tef, who used to lecture here in Atlanta. I mean, here in New York. And Tef said it's interesting because the Old English The 800 is when the Moors actually took over Europe. You see, they invaded in the 700, late 700, but it was actually the 800 was one of those key dates. And it's interesting because C. Freeman L., when we got in touch with him, he said it was quintessential that I had to leave on the 8th. Now, we in the place and we going through all this stuff, and I said, forgot the 800, Old English 800, and when I stepped to go sit down, he whispered in my ear and said, no, that's not one of the reasons why I was drinking it. I was drinking it also because of the burgundy in it matched the burgundy fez that the Moorish brothers, you see what I'm saying? The Moorish brothers wear. So now, you say, well, what does this got to do with knowledge or whatever? You got to go back and look at your martial arts flicks. It is always, the master is never going to come, you see what I'm saying, looking a certain way. A lot of times, the highest masters, they're going to come as a drunken master. They're going to come like Yoda, living in a shithole eating stew. You see what I'm saying? So this is the key on our perception. They say that the neophyte always looks at the apparent, what appears to be. And he's always fooled and can never really pick up things because he never know the master. You remember the story, is the great story that comes out of India about the guy goes to find God, and he goes to find God for 100 years down this long journey, couldn't find God, goes to find another 100 years and couldn't find God, goes to try to find God the 300 years and couldn't find God, but only thing he found on the side of the road was a doggone prostitute. And he says he was getting ready to start his journey for another set of 100 years for on his journey for the 400 years, and he went up to the prostitute and said, can you tell me how to find God? Because you're the only thing I've seen. And the prostitute said, I'm God. He said, but you're a prostitute. He was like, no, this is the way it is. You see? And all that's in the universe, so you can't exclude anything. You said you can't exclude anything. So, and it's interesting how people are stuck in religion. One Hebrew brother heard this and he thought it was one of the most awful things he ever heard, as God being a prostitute. You see what I'm saying? I'm saying you have these particular notions and these particular dogmas that set up that you think that everything is going to come a certain way and confined in a certain way. That's the mystery of what is going on here when it comes to this brother. This brother smoked, chain smoked. But I do know one thing about this brother. He was 72 when he passed on 2 weeks ago. Now I do know something about this particular brother. 72 is there's 72 sons of Ptah, 72 spirits in the Goetia. 72 is a real key aspect. And the other stuff on 72, it's a real key things that goes on 72. So he chose.
Of Set.
Huh?
The conspirators
of Set. And he chose that date to leave. Now, for a chain smoker to live at 72, we do know one thing about him. He used to could heal himself. And he used to tell me, he said, man, he used to tell me this, because what we did was we opened up an office down at Starbucks in the middle of downtown Atlanta. And so everybody who wanted to come see us, we sat around Starbucks and drinking coffee and shooting ideas and knowledge and different things like that. So we became comrades. And people say, well, you want to find Bobby Hemmett or you want to find C. Freeman L., you got to go downtown to the Equitable Building, because that was our office in front of Starbucks for a year in 1998. And at the end of that year, John Henry Clark died. I made the transition, and Kwame Ture. And it's interesting, 10 years later to the day, C. Freeman L. makes the transition. But this is what I say about what was important about the 72. We know that he chose this for one reason. He told me that sometime in the late 80s or the early 90s, he said he felt a cataract coming on his eye. And he said, oh man, he said, oh no, I gotta do something. He said he got down there and went into meditation and reversed that. So I do know for a chain smoker that lived to 72, basically what he did is he would heal himself over and over and over again. And I know that he had the magic to do that because he was a part of a Yogananda set. I think this guy named Babaji, who replicated his body on the earth about 300 years. You know, and they said what had happened was you gotta read the autobiography of a yogi. And what it is when they have a teacher that's real vital in teaching the students, and they don't get another teacher at that mastery level, then that means that teacher has to stay on the earth until they get a teacher on that mastery level. So as a result, they had some of these masters that would replicate their body and keep living for 200-300 years. You see, which is nothing, because you can look in the Bible and they tell you these types of stories. You can go into ancient African history and they tell you about people who used to live 200 and 300, 400 years. But they wasn't living 400 years just to be eaten. They was living because they had a spiritual purpose, and if they would have died, the earth would have lost some of that type of mastery of whatever it was that was going to ultimately uplift humanity. So these people had to stay till they could get somebody comparable enough so they could pass on. So he came, I knew he was a part of that system. That was one of his systems that he belonged to, that he had gotten into in the 1960s. So I knew that whenever I heard that, you know, he was dying from cancer or whatever, and within the last couple of months, I said, oh, he just wanted to get the hell up out of Dodge, because I know he knows how to live on this earth or whatever kind of thing like that. I said, because I done figured it out. You see, I done figured it out. Hell, I can heal myself by any concoction of alcohol. You see what I'm saying? You know, any concoction of alcohol, I can heal myself. You see what I'm saying? I wouldn't ask you to try this type of stuff, because you got to be a master of it. But I'm just trying to say, I figured out what it is able to do to keep rolling. You see what I'm saying? And basically, all I'm doing is with the alcohol is I'm just basically taking the 3 sips at night, and getting under the music, getting under the LP, you know, the vinyl, and then tapping in, and then letting whatever entity come in and heal you. You see what I'm saying? And heal you. And then I got so bad that the entities actually stopped coming. And then I realized what it was, and then in November, a couple of days before my birthday, I got electrocuted. And I'm not talking about like a shock. I'm talking about I was opening up a stereo receiver, and I bent over and forgot to unplug it. And the capacitor right there where the electricity comes in is a big block in the back of, you know, TVs and receiver. That little coil where the electricity comes from the wall. I bent over and I was sweating, and they had on no shirt, and the damn shit stuck to my stomach. And I can pull it out. Anybody know what anytime something sticks to you, you are electrocuted. So it stuck to my stomach. And I'm looking down at this thing, and this thing is electrocuting me, and I'm going, wow. Let's see how far this shit goes. Where is this going to take me? What can I do? Then the pain got excruciating. And I realized, well, if I'm not going to die, I ain't going to suffer like this. And then I unplugged it. The point I'm trying to make is I got to that particular level. I had gotten to that particular level where basically what happens here, and we'll go into some of that science, you actually die in your sleep. You die in your sleep. And then another heartbeat takes over. So apparently I had gotten to that particular level that, you know, I mean, there's all types of things that actually happen. And so, you know, I don't advise you to go try this shit. You see, but I'm just trying to say, I knew that this brother C3 Manel had that ability. So when I heard he made the transition, I said, oh, he was trying to get the hell up out of Dodge. He said, yeah, he told the guys, he said, I'm going to go to a hospice and I'm going to ascend. He said, I want to go to a monastery, but he didn't have the money for that. So he said, I'm going to go to this hospice and I'm going to ascend. Plus they say what they do, they shoot your ass up with morphine. I said, okay. He went to the goddamn party. They shoot you up with morphine and you don't feel shit. I said, I know it. He bust up in there, how they shot him with that morphine, and I guess he was on a cool ride trying to get up out of here. And then, because it was the state program, they tried, because anytime you fuck with the state, you are nothing but experiment. Because it was the state, you see what I'm saying? Because he was in one of those old folks high-rise, and the senior living, the assisted living, And when the state got in, they tried to put him on chemo. So they tried to put him on chemo one day. The next day, he went into a coma. And 4 days later, he ascended. But the day after he went into the coma, we got in touch with him. And I was like, what's up? He said, man, I made it. I'm in Command Central. I'm up here with the masters. So I'm where I need to be. So in so many words, it was a spiritual experiment that he had been in for the last 40-something years that actually panned out. So whatever we're trying to do to ascend to a certain level, he actually successfully completed that. He was like, I'm up at the highest level in Command Central. So he said, man, I'm chilling. It's off the chain. And then 2 days later, and so what happened was, he had this thing, he said, GOD, generator, operator, and destroyer. And my brother, because I had a brother a year older than me and a brother a year younger, we all took his class on the first level, or some of the first students. So my brother went into, so the first thing they did was, when he went into the coma, he said, don't resuscitate me. So the first thing they did is they hooked his ass up to the doggone machine. Because the state, the people were like, okay, he on this state thing, we're going to get this money from the state. So that probably kept on there 2-3 months. So my brother went in and said, generator, operator, destroyer. And the whole thing flatlined. And then it came back up. So what happened was, that was him telling him, yo, I'm where I'm supposed to be, and letting him know that he actually was hearing him say these things. You see, hearing him say these things. So, in so many words, we have an actual, master that's going on that particular level. You see what I'm saying? It's like sending a senator from your district. You see what I'm saying? To D.C. It's the same thing with sending somebody that we all knew to that particular level in the hereafter or that upper room. Somebody that we all knew to in the hereafter or that upper room. So it's real powerful stuff that's actually going down. But it's now. But one of the keys is, and I want to see something, is 2 things happened about him. And I might have to go up a little bit. He was writing a book on the Bible and astrology. That was his thing. You know, he was into the Kemet stuff and he was into the Moorish thing. He said, but if you're going to reach these people out here, you better know something about that damn Bible. So he was writing a book on Bible and the Bible and astrology. And but I said, well, why you've been writing that book since I knew you. Why you ain't finished? He said, well, I'm going to get about 600 pages. Make it hard for a nigga to bootleg it. So anyway, the eerie part about this is he never finished the book, but the day he died, a book came out called The Gospel of the Zodiac. And I looked in it, and it was the same thesis of what his book was supposed to be. The Gospel of the Zodiac. You see, another thing happened too. He would always tell his students, and I'm going to try to get to this particular part if I can. It's the master teacher. He would always try to tell his students, let's see, I hope that ain't all on there. Okay. You know, he always suggested this book, The Golden Age of the Moor. He would always tell his students about this. Now, one of the keys is, he always would give, one of the texts that he used to give his student was called Kabbalion. See if I can find this thing. These are Moorish seals. These are Moorish seals. What these are called the clavicles or talismans of Solomon. And it was translated by a guy named MacGregor Mathers. But they always would go and say, well, we don't know, they just appeared in Europe. Anytime you hear something appearing and they can trace anything back, they fucking with dinosaurs and fossils. And they can trace things back to all kind of little hominid man and all these particular things. But all of a sudden now, when something appears in Europe and they don't know what it is, it means that they don't want you to know what it is. So these seals that was translated in the late 1800s by McGregor Mathers are actually the seals of the Moors, the talismans of the Moors. And I got it's about maybe about 20 of them, and I got some over there for $5. These talismans of the Moorish seals. So this is science that we're digging up there. That actuality, when the Moors was in Europe, this is the type of stuff that they was teaching the Europeans in those major universities. You see, they call it clavicles of Solomon, but these are the Moorish seals. You see, these are the Moorish seals, and they also these have the Hebrew writing. They had some with Arabic. They would have some with Hebrew. They would have some with English. They would have several ones. These are the ones that was, the reason why these survived, because whatever those particular Kabbalistic scholars or the Hebrew people that was taught this, they preserved them. So we do have the Hebraic seals from the Moorish educational system. The Arab, probably they burn them, and they're probably still holding on to the British or the English. But these are the Hebraic seals. But what happened was, whenever you hear these things mysteriously appears, that means that they're trying to hide the Moorish history. Now, if you could ever go on the thing, this is probably one of the most important books on the Moors ever written. Because this particular book is the only book that links the Moorish science with the occult that we don't have to guess. The only thing they do, they got an extraordinary book, and they can write the extraordinary book, and the only thing they got to do is just not mention the name Moor. The name Moor. They'll say Suf or Sufi, woolly-haired one, documented in this book. Or they will say Camelot, King Arthur's Camelot, new lot of Cam, new lot of Kemet. And it wasn't Britain. The Moors had seen it in the future, and it was America. And a people in the future. So this particular book is called People of the Secret by Ernest Scott. And he even mentions that these seals, the Kabbalistic seals, the Zohar, the whole Tree of Life and all that stuff shows up in Europe. Shows up in Europe by the Islamic, the Arabs of Spain. So you can see, you can use all kind of things, you just can't say Moors. You see what I'm saying? So they had a whole history of the Moors, 3-part history of the entire Moors. What we was waiting on white folks to do something. They did a whole 3-part series on the Moors in August. They just didn't make them black. But nevertheless, you don't need them to validate that. You just need to get the history of it. And I got it documented. I got all of it. It was on PBS. You see, so we got that. You see. Now, so we have that. So this is The People of the Secret by Ernest Scott, which is if you want to get into some serious knowledge of the Moors, not the history of the Moors. 90% of most people that say they Moors only is dealing with the fucking history. You see what I'm saying? And so, when you say the knowledge of the Moors, they'll look at these and don't even know that these are their symbols. So these are their symbols. I'm still on C. Freeman-El. America. Then they hold them buckets of water, because water and melanin go together like stink on shit. That's the key. The key to every key to all of this is water. Water, the brain's gasoline is water. Water is the key. They're asking you, African Americans, or susceptible, or, you know, the stroke thing they're talking about. Do you know stroke? Right. You know, I'm like, when the hell did you care? And what kind of research you trying to get down with? You see what I'm saying? Still trying to probe, so you go sign up. You see, about the stroke thing and the stroke victims, and basically drink water. That's the key. That's the key to this thing. So now, so the pineal gland raised up in America, you got your eagle, you got your buckets of water, you got your tree of life, which is ain't nothing but the chakra system too. And at the top of the chakra system, you have your actual pineal gland. You see what I'm saying? Which Jacob's ladder, he wrestled with the angel all night. until daybreak. He saw the face of God was called what? Pineal, right in your Bible. Your unicorn, that horn, the pineal gland was also called a horn. So when you get the unicorn, that horn represents the pineal gland. That's why you get the movie Legend. Came out in 1985 with Tom Cruise. And they broke the horn off the doggone unicorn, and the whole world fell into darkness. So what happened to you? Your pineal got covered over, and everything fell into the illusionary state of the matrix. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
Okay. The next one. They also show two men with wings dealing with the same structure, and they're holding the ring. The ring also represents the black dot, the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings. You see, all this science moving right along. Here is two figures. Anytime you see that crochet looking beard, you can only get that if you're a brother. You see. So here's two. That's called mat. Shit get matted. Now you walk around with that kind of stuff now, it's called derelict, indigent, bum. You see what I'm saying? But they have this person in the middle of it, which is a dog-faced demon. And what they're trying to say here is, it's a type of composite animal. Anytime you see an animal that you can't make out, because it's got several different things, and so the ancient people, what they would do is when they wanted to talk about an alien, or they wanted to talk about a high advanced spirit thing, they would take an animal and they would make an alligator, and they'd take crossbreed an animal where you get different parts of the animal, which represents otherworldly. But the key here with this thing is it's up there fighting, and it's got that mace too. We know about that. That's later on called a nigger knocker by the police. You see what I'm saying? But the mystery of this is these three people are the same. This is human, and let's say if you took the human, took the body off of the human, you would get this monster-like person. It's called the monstrous soul. You don't know your energy. You see what I'm saying? That's what happened last Friday. Not this Friday, but Friday before last, with the Jeremiah Wright speech. Came through and they looped it too many times, and the tornado appeared out of nowhere and knocked down the damn CNN center who was looping the shit down in Atlanta. Yeah. So this right here represents these two people's power. This entity in the middle represents these two people's power. You see, that's what that represents. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
Hit it again. Hit it again.
Hit it again, okay. As we know, this is the brother Noble Drew Ali. And it's interesting because I was here in July 14th or something of 2006. 4 days later, maybe July 16th, because 4 days later my mother made the transition. Sat in the living room, and her Kundalini caught on fire, and she just burnt the fuck up. And they gone, so first I said, damn, they had a fire in the house. And then that Monday, after she passed, the people called, the coroner called and said, we got to ship this body to Charleston, South Carolina, because we don't know what happened. And I said, right when that happened, I said, oh, green light. Green light. I knew I was a part of some powerful shit and family on that level. Shipped it there, still couldn't find out, then they just settled on a fire in the kitchen. Well, I went up in the house and the kitchen was intact, the stove fire that came from the stove, that was intact, and that you could still cook on it. But I went in the room where she was and wasn't no floor. That means that the source of the heat came from her own body. She spontaneously combusted. You see what I'm saying? But it's interesting because when I did a lecture at the Moorish Science Temple in Chicago about a month ago, they told me it's interesting because I told them she made the transition on July the 20th. Now I knew that 30 years before that, Bruce Lee made the transition on July the 20th, and they told me that Noble Drew Ali made the transition on July the 20th, 1929. You see what I'm saying? So I got to study something in that particular, you know, that's a gateway or something. You see what I'm saying? It's a gateway. And that's interesting because a group of people went down to Virginia, people from Virginia went down to North Carolina and sacrificed about 30 goats. And my mother's sign was Capricorn. So it's just interesting here. It's just interesting here. And so he came through when I was at the Moorish Science Temple. Noble Drew Ali, because they had his picture behind him, and he came through. And somebody asked me a question. And he allowed me to go into my genetic memory bank, and I saw a vision of some stuff. Somebody asked me a question about the pyramids, the ones in Mexico and the ones in Kemet and around the world. And whenever I just answered some shit and I didn't study it, I knew that it was coming from the spirit realm. And the brother asked the question, invoked it. He said, well, what about these different pyramids? What were they for? We knew that there wasn't for no burial. Or they were multifaceted. And I told him they were ancient airports. You could go in that pyramid with a certain frequency and end up, you go in the pyramid in Kemet, you could end up in Mexico. You go in the pyramid in Mexico, you could end up in the ones in China, the ones in Japan that they got up underwater, or the Native American mounds. They were ancient airports. And I said, damn, where did that come from? They were ancient airports. The day that I was saying this, the movie Jumpers had started the day before. And I didn't even see the movie at the time. At the time. So that's some stuff that was happening at the Moorish Science. We'll go into some other science in a few minutes. All right. C. Freeman L., the day he died, a book came out called The Gospel of the Zodiac. The same day he died, this book came out. It's called The Secret Source. Dynamite book. But in this book, there's the Kabbalion. The Kabbalion was C. Freeman L.'s chief book that he taught from. Of all the books, the Kabbalion is the one he put his students through, was the Kabbalion, which is the 7 Hermetic laws. So when all this stuff came out about the secret, the first thing I said was, that sounds like some shit from the Kabbalion. Did they talk about a fucking secret? I said, that sounds like some stuff from the Kabbalion. And here it is. The laws of attraction is one of the 7 laws. Here are the other 6. By Majah, M-A-J-A, D'-A-O-U-S-T. And Adam Parfrey, P-A-R-F-R-Y, Parfrey. And it's called The Secret Source. So this gives you the complete Kabbalion. And it gives you the other Hermetic laws that you don't have. So the secret only give you one. You see? This is the book you got to have. It came out on that day. And I said, that's some spirit stuff going on. Here it is. This is one of the key books, the Kabbalion, one you teach on. And a new version of it comes out with all this added stuff and speaking and addressing the famous stuff the last 2 years on The Secret. Just interesting. See what we got next? All right, we're going to come back to that. We'll come back to that. Now, I want to do that, so we want to do that, and we'll start the other part in a minute. But what I want to do now is pour the libation to the deities, and then we can start the lecture. Y'all all right? Yeah. So the first one we're going to pour the libation to, and I should have did it with the Old English. So the first one we do is C. Freeman L. Ashe, master teacher. All right. The next this is the Palo Viejo. This is you got the Palo Manombe coming out of Puerto Rico, South America, Cuba. Probably it's one of the most powerful systems left on the whole magic thing. You see what I'm saying? There's some more powerful ones, but those are the ones you make up yourself now. But we want to pour some this for this rum to the particular deities, and then we'll just have a little roll call. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
All right. Ashe.
Ashe.
Heru.
Ashe.
Heru. Ashe Osar. Ashe Aset. Ashe Tahuti. Ashe Setman. Ashe Maya. Ashe. Mim. Minibus. Muntu. Sebek. Saka. Sakaris. Nephitim. Sashet. Tahuti. Dome. Iberus. Mamu. Astal. Anpu. Anput. Anpu, as you know, is Anubis. There's a female Anubis called Anput. And I'll tell you a living entity that was up under that. Because we found that in the book, Geraldine Pinch's book, Egyptian Mythology. Yeah, now we go right now. Right? Egyptian mythology. And I said, well, we're going to find out more on this female Anubis or Anpu. And a female Anubis, I'll tell you who that is later on in the lecture. So Anput, Yeminya, Oshun, Ogun, Leba, Obatala, Odunawa. Let's see, Shango, Erzuli, Akwai, Leoa, Azaka, Aksene, Yabalaweda, Aedaweda, Orisha Oku, Lakshmi, Vishnu, Shiva, Rudra, Pavati, Sati, Uma. And pay a close attention to that name Uma, because I'm going to tell you some stuff on that. That's Uma is one of the wives of Shiva. It's a form of Pavati, but I'm throwing that out now, so it's very key that we deal with that in a few minutes after I get through with that. So as soon as I get through with the libation, remind me to go back to Uma. Emiya, which is the Dogon goddess. Emiya. This is one of her pictures. There was no picture of her, but she channeled this picture and said, do me a composite figure right here. Anytime you see the mermaids, that represents the water. And the other part is the fish, which is the Nomo thing. It's a composite picture, so that's the goddess Emiya, real powerful spirit that actually came back in this summer. Ashe. These are called the souls of P and Depth. And I'll show you this in a minute. I'll show it on the PowerPoint in a few minutes when we get into it. Ashe. Mayat. Ashe. Herugahuti, Hamaku, Hamakis, very important, Hamakis at this time. Hamaku the Sphinx. It's called Hamakis, Hamaku, Raharku. Very key at this particular time, the whole Sphinx thing, the realm of the Sphinx. It's going to be dealing with that for the next couple of months. Not because of research, but because there's certain entities come back. And it's very powerful at this particular time. Ashe. Let's see. Zarabanda, El Cristo Negro, El Cristo Rey, Macho de Agua, Macho de la Luna, La Santísima Muerte, La Santísima Piedra Ema, San Simón, Francisco Sieterello, La Spirita Tranquila, Mama Shola. Actually, they did Mama Shola. Was on the Santana album, that Supernatural album that won all them awards in 1990. You know, remember the one that, in 2000, the Supernatural thing with Santísima Muerte? He had Mama Shola on there, and they just did that's the Apollo, and they just did I think it's playing on the Showtime. They got a thing, Herbie Hancock did a movie called Possibilities. It's on Showtime, and he goes to different stars, and one of them he goes to, to help him in his musical quest, he goes to Carlos Santana, and on the side of his t-shirt, he has the Zarabanda or Kumbanda or Umbanda patch, which means he's Palo Manombe. Now we just heard that the blind mayor or the blind governor is this is what Brother Azariah, Azazel was hipping me to last night, that the blind governor is into all of that shit, the Palo and all that. So it might have been some spirit stuff that come to pass. You see, that's that whole blind Heru thing. You see, so he's into all of that stuff, you see. So that's just interesting here. That's the Kumbanda. This is one of the shirts of Kumbanda that Brother Azazel is selling and stuff. So they got me a 6X. I guess it was cut small, but you know, that's cool. So Zarabanda. Ashe. So Oteacha, Tiacha, Cheola, Shula, Omagumi, Alcala, Oteo, Kakabo, Lavado, Luigi, Atama, Hoa, Eoa, Odugo, Bimasa, Ahuke, Abati. Wow, let's see. I guess they all know who they are. We'll do a little bit here. Set, Newt, let's see. And Pooh segment, Sachet. I guess that's a good enough, that's best. You know what? That was spiritual. Because a part of this lecture is based on best. And we're going to put the God Bass and Bastet. Ashe. Because we had 2 cats we started feeding, 2 stray cats, a month before my mama made the transition. That was summer of 2006. And then in 2007, one of the cats had a litter, which was 4 cats. And then other cats started coming from every place else, and now we up to 9 cats. So we going through a big bag of cat food. We ain't talking, and cats are finicky now. The cheap shit, they just look at that. We either got to get them the Friskies, or what's that other one? No, not the 9, the other one. It's another one that's real popular right now. Meow Mix. The whole seafood medley. So they sitting around chilling. But they bring in the magic. They bring in the magic. The spirit's coming through them. You see, the spirit's coming through them. So we're going to get into that science. We're going to get into that science. I went into it a little bit last night on this awesome thing we did last night. It was almost maybe, we did 3 hours last night, so we got into that and also. So we dealing with the cats right now. There's a book called Mysterious and Magical Cats by DJ Conway. Get that book, because the cats was one of the most sacred things in ancient Kemet. Had something to do with the cats. And let me tell you, Mysterious and Magical Cats by DJ Conway. And I would advise you to get you a little kitten if you can. You know what I'm saying? You know, I know you into the dogs and the Rottweilers and all that kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? But the only thing you're going to have with them is a whole bunch of piss and shit. And cats going to bring the magic. You see what I'm saying? You know, cats going to bring the doggone magic. You see. And we're going to get into that particular science. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting here because about 2 years ago I had a drawing, and I should have Xeroxed some. It was a cat, and it had an Urzuli symbol, which is the goddess of voodoo. It was a cat with a Urzuli symbol, and it had knives sticking out of the Urzuli symbol. And we built an altar to Urzuli in the summer of the spring of 2005. And she came through and said, I'm in exile, and then a few months later they had the whole New Orleans thing went down with Katrina. So she had several escape routes that she would come to where she needed refuge, and that was one of the places and stuff like that. Because I know she must have had been refuge, because we built the damn altar and money got tight. I'm like, well, hell, this is the first time I worked on the altar for months and no money came through. And then I realized, no, this was for her refuge. She'll probably reciprocate later. So we had a picture, so I found this statue of a black cat, a white cat with a little blue yarn, a white cat, and I put it on her altar. So the Indian kitten showed up and started eating, and it was injured on the leg, and then it started healing itself. Now the mystery here is, why am I talking about cats? Apparently these particular cats, it was a small kitten, and I didn't see no litters or no place on the street or any other place in the neighborhood. And the only conclusion was that those particular cats, and this is why the Egyptians dealt with the cats. those particular cats was able to go through dimensions. So what happened was, this cat showed up, and I think the cat came from New Orleans. So this cat walked into a dimension and showed up in our backyard and started feeding because it was wounded. And it was the same cat that was on Erzuli's altar. So in so many words, this was a form of Erzuli healing herself. That's why I say it's real magical based on these mystical and magical cats. Now, where I'm going with this is this. We had another cat we called Tiger. This particular cat was wounded and had 2 side pus spots on both sides. And it was like a taupe brown cat, like a coffee brown cat with black stripes. We call it Tiger. So I asked the spirit realm, would this cat be able to be saved? This was about a year ago. They said, no, it look like he's on his way out. And then one day that sick cat disappeared and came back the next day. It was emaciated, ribs showing and all that. But it came back the next day, fully healed, and big as a damn dog in a day. So whatever it was, this cat went into another realm. So don't think that it's sitting up and I'm talking about animals. Hell, that's what your people dealt with. That is fundamentally African. And, well, I don't want to say African. I don't want to reduce it to a continent because it was global, that we were all over the world. But the cat came back fully healed. Then all of a sudden, on December the 25th this year, a cat gets out in the San Francisco or San Diego Zoo. Killed one guy and wound 2 other ones. But yet they spent the entire summer and millions of dollars trying to fortify the cat's den, or the lion's den, or the tiger's den, or the feline den. But yet this cat got out, and to this day they can't find out how. They haven't had any conclusions. And the only 2 guys that didn't die, they in the hospital at a point in time, and they caught up with them, and they're not saying nothing. The mystery here is that cat just basically walked through that wall like you walk through a dimension. Well, number one, now it's December 25th, which is a gateway that I talked about, on a festival that's older than Jesus. And this cat just basically goes through a dimension and walks through the other side and starts attacking people. Then at the 1st of February, they had one in a zoo in Hawaii. Get outside of the cage. And the only reason why they didn't kill it is because it got out early in the morning, the zoo wasn't open, and they was able to get it back in the cage. So here goes again. What's happening? We're talking about dimensions bumping into each other. And we're talking about, we got these cats in our backyard and we feeding them, but they're going in and out of dimensions. Going in and out of dimensions. You see, so this is a very powerful stuff that's happening. And if you go into the, other than the DJ Conway Mysterious and Magical Cat, you go into the mythology section at Barnes & Noble's and stuff, you will see, in the Egyptian section, you will see whole books on the Egyptian myths of the Egyptian based on cats. It's very key. So in so many words, these cats are harbingers of the ancestral souls. And in so many words, the ancestors can actually contact you through these particular cats. And you need to study it and become one with it in this magical aspect too. Because what we're going to deal with today is, I know everybody in here, it's evident that we need money. So we're going to show you how to do that too, to get this particular money. One is this particular thing here called the Balm of Isis. And this is some stuff that's coming out of papyrus from Kemet, where you mix up certain perfumes to Aset, and then you invoke her by reading what she say does, and then you can ask her for money, healing, or whatever. But this is called the Balm of Isis and stuff like this. That's very key. Okay. It's interesting here because we go into a few things. What time we got? want to go into a few things.
504.
504, good. Let me go into a few things, certain things that's lining up. Number one, so like I said again, there's these dimensions are opening up. Every now and then these dimensions bump together. We got these laws, pedestrian laws down in Atlanta, whereas, you know, they got certain stops and you got to stop your car so that these people can have a safe way to walk. But what happened was in 1999, right before the millennium, every week for several days, no, every day for several days, for about 2 weeks straight, people was getting hit by cars. And they had to have a panel to come in and see whether it was the traffic getting bad or whatever. They had concluded that it was not the traffic. When they, you know, they could tell what happened based on the stories, and they had concluded that it was the pedestrians' fault. And what had happened is somehow these dimensions bump into each other, and they were, so if a person was walking across the street and was trying to calculate getting across the street, they was miscalculating and the cars was coming and killing them. And that's because some type of dimension opened up and the timing was off. You see what I'm saying? You might feel that right now, that somehow timing is off. You see what I'm saying? Maybe several hours of the day you don't know where the hell you are. You see? So things are not as they seem. So things are not as they seem. So that's very key based on these dimensions bumping into each other. Bumping into each other. Y'all all right? Yeah. Okay, so we got a few things we're going to deal with. One of the things I want to deal with, because we also talk about this Moorish thing. I went to the Moorish Science Temple, and it's interesting how this happened. The spirit came and said Moor was the name for Osiris. I write it on a piece of paper. Go to the Moorish Science Temple in Chicago. I mentioned this, and they come up to me and go, "Hey, it's interesting here, because we got a Budge's hieroglyphic dictionary, and they looked up the word Moor and it said Amen. Right in the hieroglyphic dictionary. Well, if you understand that Amen means it's a title, the hidden one. Well, what is the hidden one? Osiris is hidden in Amenta, the underworld. So in so many words, but Osiris is called what? Lord of the perfect black. You see, so not only is the word Moor means Osiris or Osar, but it also means Amen in the hieroglyphic dictionary. But the hidden one is also the hidden substance, which is also another name for melanin. So thus you get the term black or Moor. You see how things come together in synchronicity. You see them things come together in synchronicity. Y'all all right? Yeah. And it's interesting here. Apparently, for some reason, I don't know what it is about me, but they will bypass me and go straight to the brother right here. And every kind of spirit and ancestor and every kind of entertainer and every kind of God will get in touch with him. You see what I'm saying? The brother Panic right here. They will get in touch with him. So it's interesting. He said it recently. Harriet Tubman was getting in touch with him. I found out that Harriet Tubman, because each particular person that lives on this physical realm has a God counterpart, and I was trying to look for this female Anubis. And it ended up being Harriet Tubman, which is the Anput. So I find that Geraldine Pinch's book, Geraldine Pinch, Egyptian Mythology, that's also the book that said that Osiris was worshipped as a woman in an earlier cult. So before Osiris was, or Osar was a man, it was Het-Heru. Because Het-Heru is the divine cow, and Osiris is the divine bull. So the masculine half of that, so if the masculine half is the bull, the feminine is the cow, so the divine cow is Het-Heru, so that's a form of Osiris in another cult. Probably, you know, they got these different time zones in Kemet and all, and so this is where this thing comes from. You see what I'm saying? Which is very key, because when we get into the things today, we're going to be talking about the access to of the feminine half. So the first thing that does, that stops the whole bickering on on the whole homosexual thing, because you don't have to resort to that, because basically, based on all the gods, you buy in nature anyway. Now this has nothing to do, but what happens is, what messed that up is the whole sexual aspect. You see what I'm saying? Now I ain't talking about going out and getting some dookie love or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about accessing your feminine half, which the gods and the goddesses all have. You see what I'm saying? So the thing about it is the reason why we can't get on that particular level, because we're always dealing with the whole sexual aspect. You see what I'm saying? The whole sexual aspect. And what we're talking about here, and I go back into, at one time we were one entity and had both halves. And then it was split and became male and female. And what you like in the qualities of the female is actually trying to get back that in yourself. Let's say if you were male, you are trying to get back a part of your feminine self, and that's the qualities you might get turned on in a female. Or what you like in the male, with females, you're trying to get part of your masculine self back. So we're not talking about on the sexual aspect as we are talking about an essence. And when you access that essence, you really are rolling in a whole nother level. And that's what happened to me around my birthday. It's the feminine half comes up. It's beyond the sexual thing. But this is the level of the actual God aspect. You see what I'm saying? We're going to go into the science on that, dealing with the cults in India, and also this Osirian thing on why that particular aspect actually happened. So we're talking about an essence more than an actual, the sexual aspect. So in so many words, when you access that particular essence, you will find in so many words what you was actually briefly looking for in sex. See, sex is only a brief encounter to either try to find an essence, but you can only do it in a brief aspect. That's why orgasms, you see what I'm saying, and ejaculations are only brief. You see what I'm coming from here? That's because you're trying to glimpse into a realm of something that was split and lost. So my point here is, when I'm talking about beyond sex, when you access that realm, you see what I'm saying? You're actually finding something beyond the glimpses of it. You get where I'm coming from here? So this is some powerful shit we're dealing with here. We're actually merging in these particular mysteries. You see what I'm saying? So in so many words, you don't have to be into the slavery of being dependent upon another person for the gratification when you reaching that particular level. We're not necessarily saying that you don't need that particular person or whatever as the catalyst to try to get somewhere on the love level or on the spirit level or on the sexual level. But ultimately, all these things are inside of you yourself. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That's where we're coming from. And then when you get on that level, that's when you tread into that God realm. Y'all all right? Yeah. Glory, hallelujah. You see what I'm saying? That's some powerful shit right there. So the Harriet Tubman thing was a form of that Anpu, that female thing. And I said, well, that's right. Anubis is the god that guides the souls through the underworld. And that's what Harriet Tubman was doing. She was guiding the souls through the underworld, the Underground Railroad. Ain't that some shit? So, in so many words, what we have historically, we are acting out some stuff on the God realm. It comes into the human realm, and we act it out historically. You see what I'm saying? And it makes so much sense. So I found that particular Anpu. But like I said, this brother here, I mean, we're gonna get into some of the contacts. Some of the actual contacts. You see, but let me go into this particular miraculous story. I'm gonna go into several ones and lead up to this particular story. I did it last night, but I want to give you this beautiful aspect of what happened. Now, so what we're dealing with here is this. Okay, I got close to 300 tapes out, maybe 400, miscellaneous, whatever. And I've done a lot on the intellectual path as far as the scholarship over the years. You see what I'm saying? And I realized that people say, why you and I used to travel with tons and tons of books. And you can say and listen to my tapes over the years, I've given out more bibliography that you can write down stuff in the bibliography You see what I'm saying? And I realized why I did that. Because there was going to come a time when stuff was going to start coming from the spirit world. And if I hadn't been that type of scholar that would document so much stuff, you see what I'm saying, you might not believe the spiritual experiences. But what had happened was, I spent about maybe 10 or 12 years in the academic of this metaphysics, and then all of a sudden, I started actually becoming it. So now the world that I belong to, we are actually the actual gods acting out. So when I correspond with the brother Panic, it's because we are in a certain spirit world. So this is different than the academia. See, we got the neophytes still arguing over academic concepts of history. Whether we black or white, or whether we this and we that and whatever. But then there's a time, and that's good for the neophyte, because we always have to deal with these particular concepts. But because let me give you an example. Because we were called the Illumined ones. You okay? We do know, based on alchemy, black is actually light. It's called the black light. That's in Sufism. You see what I'm saying? There's a book called Men of Light by Henry Corbin. And it's the Sufi concept of the black light. It's a book on the Sufi Moorish. The Moorish study of melanin was done years ago in the Sufi stuff. And there's a book called The Men of Light by Henry Corbin. And it deals with the black light. That light that you, what is black is only light that you can't see based on the level where you at, the vibration where you are. Get where I'm coming from here? So, when the Moors sometimes say that the white boy took the word white and named himself white, he got that from us. But it was the light that we was dealing with, and that's the one that he knew. Well, if I call myself white, that will be light, the illumined one, and that's the Christ energy. And that's why you are transfixed and fascinated by white folks. You see what I'm saying? Because that was an alchemical, magical system that he got, that they took from the Moors. The Moors were the illumined ones in Europe. What they call the perfected man. The perfect man. That's in the book The Sufis by Idris Shah. The perfected man. You see, in the Knights Templar were they students that venerated the Moors, giving him the symbol of the Baphomet. That's the symbol of the devil, which is our symbol. You see what I'm saying? That's in Idris Shah's book. You see. In Capricorn, chastiser, the devil, the goat, the master, the Moor. Now, so we do know that with that particular concept of what the Moors are talking about. So it's just, you know, it's apples and oranges. Black is light and light is black. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of what type of perspective you're trying to come from. So both people are right. I'm going to go in some stuff today, on Barack Obama. Anybody saw the Valentine thing on Barack Obama? Yeah. The DVD? Okay, right. That's anti-Obama, and I'm pro-Obama, and guess what? Both of us are right. It depends on what perspective you're coming from. They got two views of this thing and two things, and both people are right. We're going to go into that today. You see what I'm saying? We're going to go into that today. You see what I'm saying? You know, on that spiritual level, the brother is there. And he might not even know nothing about it, because it ain't political. We're going to go into this thing in a few minutes. You see. Now, but going back, so what's happening here is I'm in a certain spiritual realm now, and as a result, I have to correspond with people that's locked into that particular spiritual realm. So what has happened here is my confidant the last 2 years has been the brother Panic, because the simple fact he is in that particular realm. You see, for some reason they want to get in touch with his ass. See what I'm saying? You know, so Jimi Hendrix got in touch with him and said something profound, and it makes sense. He said, when I passed in 1970, I had to continue my reign. So when Prince came up, I hovered over him and influenced him, and his reign became Prince. And later on, to celebrate that, Prince put out Purple Rain. And it's the continuation of Jimi Hendrix into the modern aspect of the 1980s on into the 90s. Beautiful shit. So what we have here is we have entities that when they die, like Obi-Wan Kenobi say, if you kill me, I'm gonna get stronger. So when they die, another person is influenced and carries on it. So Frankie Lyman came to him and told him, I died in 68, and this brother's born in 68.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So he'll be 40 soon. Are you already 40?
Next month.
Next month, okay.
Next month.
4-0. You see, in the realm of old age, that starts. It is all downhill with that shit. One day you're going to be walking and the goddamn knee going to go out.
Grown folk shit.
You see. You know. Now, check it out. So, Frankie Lyman said, when I passed in 68, the Jackson 5 was founded in 68. They was founded by Gladys Knight, but then Diana Ross took the credit. You see what I'm saying? But Gladys Knight actually did was 68. And you know, by late 69, 70, I Want Your Back came out, and it's all history. So Frankie Lyman said, to continue that energy, I went into Michael Jackson. See what I'm saying? Makes sense.
That's right.
We get it from the spirit realm. See what I'm saying? So we got this brother. Anybody seen this thing on the original 50 Cent? Anybody seen this documentary? Yeah. On the original 50 Cent? Stick Up Kid, Napoleonic Complex. He had a bag. He would stick people up. They said, but he was the most nicest person, would laugh and smile and all this kind of thing. He was a stick-up kid and was notorious. So his lifestyle led to him getting killed. But his energy was a godlike energy that needed to continue. And when 50 Cent, the new 50 Cent, took on that name because he heard about the legendary 50 Cent, this 50 Cent continues through him, and he's become one of the biggest rappers in the world. You see what I'm saying? And I don't recognize the talent.
Right.
What did he do that 1,000 niggas didn't do? But what is the energy? The energy is he got somebody from the other side. See what I'm saying? Get the documentary Shining Stars, Earth, Wind and Fire. They tried from the 70s. They had good music, but when they hooked up with Charles Stephanie, that's when That's the Way of the World album comes out. Maurice White Genius hooks up with Charles Stephanie, and the shit goes to another level. That's the Way of the World, 1975. Actually, it's late 74. 1975. Spring 76, you get the Gratitude album. Then they're working on the Spirit album, and Charles Stephanie dies. And the guy, Larry Dunn, who's the keyboardist, said he was sitting at the keyboard, and he belted out this strange tune. And then Maurice White said, all of a sudden, I got a partner from the other side, and the Spirit album was great, but the next album happened to be All in All, and that's the world history right there. That's the pyramids and all that. So he had a friend from the other side helping him. See how that goes? So that's what happened with the whole 50 Cent thing. And the 50 Cent thing. So then I said this last night on the tape, but I got to give this to the people because it's such a remarkable story. A remarkable story. And it's called The Legend of Milton Leggett. Milton Leggett was a guy that was in junior high school with me. He was an athlete, and he was, you know, you got these guys, they never lift weights, but they were just born muscular. You ever seen people like that? I know people like that. I know a guy that plays for the NFL now that I went to college with, never lift no weights. He said, no, my daddy was this way, and I was this way. I was just born this way. A Herculean figure, and a Hercules is nothing but the Greek form of Horus, as well as Apollo. That's what Apollo Theater is. That's the Christ energy. You see what I'm saying? And that's Phoenician, not Greek. Greek is basically amalgamated into that, as far as the, you know, But then again, on the other hand, come to find out, and I'm going to show you some Romans in a few minutes, there was no such thing as white Greeks until the 19th century. White Romans. I'm going to show you the Romans in a few minutes. We got two Roman brothers, right, you know. But anyway, this brother was very built. The ultimate athlete. And the brother, 30 years ago, this past Friday, because down south, you know, you all get all these holidays. You know, we used to be like, damn, them niggas out of school again. Y'all got 100,000 holidays. We didn't get nothing but Christmas, Thanksgiving, and because we was in the Bible Belt, we got Good Friday. They don't even do that no more. But they used to let us off for Good Friday, Easter. All right? So this is an Easter story in part. So 30 years ago, actually 31 years ago now, excuse me, 32 years ago, on Good Friday, Milton Leakett, the ultimate athlete of the junior high school, goes swimming in an irrigation pond and don't come out. Dies. And we baffled, and the mystery wasn't broke until January. He goes swimming into this irrigation pond. Y'all don't know what that is. If people from the city, they dig this big ass river or this ditch to irrigate the farms or whatever. And I learned how to swim in one of them shits. It's very dangerous because it got this soft mud. And you can jump off and your head can get stuck in the mud and you can die. Or your foot gets stuck in the mud and you drown. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of, you know, like Bill Cosby said, you know, they used to play on a hill with some little cars they make, and the hill empties out into a freeway. That kind of dangerous shit. So I learned how to swim in an irrigation pond. So this guy goes swimming in this irrigation pond and don't come out. So 2 days later, I'm in the funeral home looking at Milton Leakett in the casket, and I'm like, what the hell happened? All right. Story revealed to me the other month, and it makes so much sense. Milton, let me deal with this. Sugar Ray Leonard, because that was spring 1976, Easter 1976. Sugar Ray Leonard goes to the Olympics in August, whenever the Olympics are, July, August of 1976. And he says, once I get through the Olympics, I'm going to retire. Why? He said because he was not made up for boxing. His hands and his bones, he was always in excruciating pain. He said it wouldn't be that bad if you just have one fight, you deal with your hands, ice them down, but you got to train for those fights. So that means he's in excruciating pain for a several amount of months. You understand what I'm saying with the training? So he said I was going to retire. But after he won the Olympics, he said the decision came down. It's just quite evident. It's about money. We're going to have to do something because it's a big payday. I done won the Olympics. So the story is he goes and he wins. He knocks these people out in '77. He knocks, he does the Roberto Duran thing, but he gets that back in 1980. He's this great champion, but they say one thing about Sugar Ray Leonard, is that he was the only person, when you see those flurries that he's doing, it looks like that's some showmanship stuff, but they say those flurries actually hurt people. He's the only person that looked like he was doing something like tap dancing, didn't look like shit. It looked beautiful, but it didn't look effective. But that's the thing that he won on. He would do those flurries, and the people would get hurt. Like, take for instance, Thomas Hearn. Thomas Hearn knocked this nigga eye out damn near. And he did a flurry on Thomas Hearn and damn near knocked Thomas Hearn out of the ring. Remember that? 1980, fall 81. Okay. The mystery here is this. And that's how he stayed the champ. He would, if his eye wasn't messed up, he would have done a lot more. But how is it a person who's getting ready to retire, because his hands are in excruciating pain, become the champion of the world, and then his flurries are that affected? See, to me, if your hands are aching, you can't be that affected. Well, this is the story. There was two sisters down in Mullins, South Carolina, whose down in Mullins, that's where I'm from, this small town, 6,000 people. One sister has, that moves to Maryland, one sister has Sugar Ray Leonard. The other sister has Milton Leggett, the guy that went into the river and didn't come out. And then it all came together. I said, oh my goodness. Milton Leggett went into the river into the irrigation pond on Good Friday of 1976 so that he could get to the Olympics in August of 76 because he was the athletic figure to help out his first cousin, Sugar Ray Leonard, whose grandmother is from Mullins, South Carolina. And his mother was from there, but she moved to Maryland. One stayed in Mullins. And he used to say, and even when it came to Thomas Hearns, and this is what they said, what's this guy? He's now he was big time coach. He does the commentating on he's a coach, but he's a trainer, but he's also the black commentator on HBO. Emmanuel Stewart said that Thomas Hearns, when he's about to be beat, he could go inside and come up with something. He could reach deep inside himself and come up with something. That which he was reaching deep inside was Milton Leggett. And he was the person who was the athletic person who was able to take Sugar Ray Leonard to the championship. A person who was going to retire because his hands wasn't a certain way. His first cousin, who went into the lake, went into the irrigation pond so that he could go to be that extra thing for his first cousin. And the rest is history. So here we're talking about, it's a fascinating story, but here we're talking about here on what the Africans was doing when they was actually worshiping or paying homage to their ancestors. They was paying homage to an extraordinary amount of power. It's just that we, as slaves or as people that separated from the ancient world thousands of years, including the Africans, forgot those particular science and those particular mysteries. See what I'm saying? So it was right there in the movie Ray. When Ray went through the whole dope thing, and he went back and he saw his mama and his brother that died, and he said, I wish you all could have been there for my career. And they looked at him and say, we were. It was probably his fucking career. If you understand the ancestral thing. You see what I'm saying? So that's some amazing things. That's some amazing things that's actually going on here. So we're getting close, but see, if we deal with it, the intellectual level can only take a certain point, to a certain point. Then you have to cross into the spirit level. And the spirit level takes a little bit of confidence in the stuff around you, because you don't have religious doctrine and other things to go by. It's only your own experience in these particular things. See what's coming on here? And so what's going to happen here is now your powers are coming back. We'll go into all of that. But you're going to have to pay attention to very small things. And those small things you pay attention to is going to be the things that's going to help you in this particular power. First thing you got to do is, number one, is this. You got to get out of the fear of what this white man going to do to you. What I'm saying is this. Because part of the Afrocentric community, part of the metaphysical community is you come in and you get all this stuff of what's going to happen to you and will happen to black people. Well, dead black people, shit happens daily. Deal with it. What can you do? They're dead. But when it comes to your conscious self, whenever you contemplate what's going to happen to you, you get this white boy power and you might invoke those things on you and you're protected from that.
Perfect.
See what I'm saying? Now this is the key. This is the key. And this is why the brother C. Freeman L., the master, he told us, he would say things 10, 15 years ago, 10, 13 years ago, that is just not coming true. But that's a true master. When he first hit, you just pass up, oh, you know, whatever, this nigga crazy. Old ass nigga, you know. But years later, the stuff comes true. So he used to tell us back in 1990 and 1994, quit talking about the white man and complaining about the white man and giving the white man power. You see what I'm saying? Now, you get people coming for you with doom and gloom. And what that does, it cuts your power base, because guess what? The white boy ain't got no power. He's run out of power. His power is fear. If he can get you to believe he's still in power, he can delay your fucking power.
Shit.
See what I'm saying? He ain't got no power. You see? Nigga getting caught spending $80,000 on prostitutes.
Right. What's that?
He's in a mess. She ain't got no power. You see? Now, so the key here is you got to get out of this fear. That's all he got. Case in point, King Alfred plan. I used to use it too, till I found out it was put out by the United States government, and they gave it to the black community, and give you a dossier, a lineup of what they're going to do to you, and you put this shit in your psyche, and guess what? They never have to execute none of that concentration camp and none of that shit. Because they know the rule. The rule is there are devices that's in the body that will come online immediately when the race is threatened for extinction. Now that's the stuff that the East Indian government found out in 1975 when they put this, when they started studying the chakras and the kundalini, and they basically what they did is they had the government come in and give a grant or allocate funds to study this, and the conclusion was that the chakras, the kundalini, the third eye, and all of this stuff, when you are threatened for extinction, these things come online and you become a Superman. It's called Firestarter. Remember the movie Firestarter with little Drew Barrymore? Start burning up shit. You see what I'm saying? So the key here is to never come in with an army and line you up to go to concentration camps. But the mystery here is to let you think that you're going to a concentration camp and keep the fear on him, because you still think he's all powerful. And everything he ever does to you is covert. What can he do to you that he ain't already did to you? See what I'm saying? So the King Alfred plan was put out by the government for you to respond to, so that you can have a fear. He can't do nothing. You see? See what I'm saying? If you know what time it is and stuff, I'm lonely for action. I'm like, I wish a motherfucker would come up in my space. You see what I'm saying? You see? But I know what I'm capable of doing. You see? What I'm capable of doing. So we got to get out of this fear that all this stuff is going to be done to us. Don't you know when they do shit to you, they never announce it? First of all, the King Alfred plan was taken from a damn novel that some white boy wrote, that the government said, hey, this is some good shit right here. It was a fucking sci-fi novel. And they made it policy, and they said, put it out to the black community to keep them in fear. They can't do shit. You see what I'm saying? That's what time it is. And our magic is stronger now. Fuck around, and they be walking around with little small heads. The only reason why I don't execute this stuff now is because I don't have time. And I'm too damn lazy. I'm too lazy. Yeah, I might fuck around and get hungry and say, call it all off. You'd like to been dead, but hell, I got to go get this Big Mac. That quarter pounder with cheese. But hell, he put out the movie Fast Food Nation. Anybody seen this shit? Fast Food Nation? He telling you how he kill you every day. How many they say a hamburger got? How many? It can be meat from how many plants? 1,000. It can be meat from 1,000 packing plants in one hamburger. Right. You talking about King Alfred plan? Didn't they show in the movie 2 people get to fighting around all the cows? Don't you know what happened when all that's going on in the energy of the meat? It's called Fast Food Nation. That's an awesome one. They got one worse than that, but they said you don't want to eat nothing. They got one, I forgot what the name of the shit is. But anyway, they said that the meat from these ground beef come from thousands of different places. You might have some shit come from Arizona, some shit coming from Maine to get in one hamburger. You see what I'm saying? Huh? All kind of stuff. Oh man, they do all that. Might be some damn hoofs. Might be some hoofs. I might have been into a hoof before. What the hell is this?
That's hoof.
It's a hoof. So I mean, don't worry. So all this King Alfred plan in that field. Hell, we used to do this. Go downtown Atlanta and eat a McDonald's fish sandwich, and my mouth would get numbed up like cocaine. And we knew that the crack, because you was predisposed to the crack from the damn fast food. And you wonder why a person go get on smoke of crack one time and he hooked. That's because he was already semi-hooked from the McDonald's fish. You see? Because we still baffled. I knew one nigga went and smoked crack for the first time, called his wife home and said, I'm on crack now. I'll never see you again. One day. And the only way that could happen, he was predisposed to something in his diet that wasn't cooked at home. Next thing, if you don't like somebody, and if you got an inkling that a motherfucker don't like you, don't eat lunch with them, don't eat dinner with them. Bottom line, if you eating your food and a nigga get nasty and start cursing and going all crazy, leave it right there. You see what I'm saying? We talking about atmosphere. And so we don't want to hear nothing about, okay, sister, I don't get along with you, but we're going to break bread together. No, you get ready to get fucked up. Don't eat nothing around a person that don't like you. This was in the 60s. My mother went to a hairdresser, got her hair done, came home. My father said, tell me you didn't go to that bitch's damn parlor. Said she jealous of you because she want me. And a month later, her hair started falling out. Now, it didn't fall out for long because it wasn't a magical thing, but nevertheless, it did have a reaction because she had somebody doing her hair that didn't like her. See what I'm saying? So you don't supposed to eat nothing around nobody that you don't like. You see what I'm saying? So that's one of the missions. We talking about those force fields. You see, where was I? Anyway, let's go on. But like I said, in order to get this magic to work, you can't succumb to the fear of what the government gonna do to you. They can't do nothing. The magic now here is to convince you that they can do shit to you. They started it with the King Alfred plan. They knew damn well they couldn't come against you and line you up for concentration camp because you got devices in the body that will come online. You see? Remember Farrakhan said in the 1985 Power Tour, if your slave go to war with you, we will win. That's because you got that many people coming online. I saw it with Katrina when T.D. Jakes and the preachers was had it up to here. And for 1 minute they became men.
That's right. Yeah.
And so when your boy Kanye West said that Bush don't like black people, Bush got him back now. They killed his mama because of this shit. But he stood up. When he said Bush don't like black people, they said, oh, call in the agents. And they called up T.D. Jakes. But T.D. Jakes had seen how people being left out there for 5 days, and that shit was not even that whole we shall overcome shit, and we are the world. None of that shit was hitting. The best was all black people woke up for about a week with Katrina. I mean, dead black people. And they called and said, what about Kanye West saying this? He said, well, that's the going view with most of the black people in this community when you leave people out there for 7 days or 5 days. What? He said, don't tell me I had people out there in less than 24 hours. You left them out there on purpose. This is T.D. Jakes. See what I'm saying? So my point here is there's events that you can be confronted with that you could come online. And there's several metabolic endorphins in your body that make you into Superman. See what I'm saying? That's why the sign this year is doing the NBA slam dunk contest. I've been missing them for the last 4 or 5 years because I can't catch them. And I saw it. I turned it on, and a nigga jumped through a hoop with a Superman cape on and a Superman suit. I said, don't take that as a joke. That's a fucking spiritual sign. And these niggas done took this dunk thing to a whole nother level. These niggas is flying. Flying from the free throw line with no shoes on. So they already know there's things that's up inside of you. So the key here is never confront them. Just keep them scared. Right now, they say right now that you can go in a black man's front yard, you can beat his wife, you can beat his children. See what I'm saying? You can beat his dog. You fuck around, and it's police policy to never touch his automobile. Because they knew it. They done had police come up, by historical means, they done had police come up in the black man's yard and fucked around and touched this nigga car. And this nigga loose.
Word, right?
Dick Gregory talks about that. It's a policy. It's a police policy. Go in his yard, you can slap his wife. But do not touch that nigga automobile. That's his chariot. And he that crazy. You touch that and he go off. See what I'm saying? You know. That's how serious that is. But I'm trying to say here is they just keep you in fear. You see. And that's the key, because we got stuff that's in us. How the hell I done got electrocuted on my damn near on my birthday? And that means something, you know, electrocuted. You see what I'm saying? On my birthday. You know, see, and we haven't changed yet. It's stuff that's in us. It's just our minds. And that's minds. So all of a sudden now, he doing the fearmonger shit. That's what that Iraq war is. He said, man, we losing power all over the world. They don't fear us as much. So we got to put on a fake-ass war and flex our muscles.
But didn't they find some Nagas down there? The Nagas?
They found in Afghanistan, the cult of the Nagas.
Right.
In Afghanistan. You see, in Kashmir. You see what I'm saying? In those particular, Pakistan and Afghanistan. The cult of the Nagas. You see, down there. And ironic, they talk about it in this new book, The Secret Sauce, or the 7 Hermetic Laws. This book is off the fucking chain. Off the chain. I'll show you some pictures for it in a minute on PowerPoint. But the point is, here it is, another thing they're doing too. We knew that they built a city in Africa that we can't see. It's a fortified city. It's like a gold city. It's a crystal city in Africa. They got one in Africa because there's parts of Africa you can't go to. And they got one in, and so what's happening here, they're funneling $3 trillion in Iraq. And what they're getting ready to do is they're getting ready to build this elite. They got $3 trillion and yet they're raising money for bulletproof vests for the soldiers. And all kind of fucked up cheap ass Humvees. And they're going, where the money going? The money going over there. That's what Halliburton is over there. They get ready to build a city in Iraq for the global elite. They already got one in Dubai. That's where Michael Jackson went. Over in Dubai. For the global elite. So they say right now, you want some money, you can go over to Dubai and do hair and be rich in 4 months. You just make it to damn Dubai. So you people that's got to have some cash, get your ass to Dubai. do some tap dance or whatever shit you can do over there. Sell some pussy, I don't know. See what I'm saying? Sling some Peter or whatever. But get your ass to Dubai. They say you be rich in a year. Retire. All the money they got funneled over there. You see what I'm saying? You know. And quiet as kept. I got a friend that's in Chicago. He sells porno. He sells porno. He said when the niggas is acting funny, he sell bootleg movies and porno, and every now and then, you know, nigga get cheap on him. He said, ain't got to worry about it. He said, because the Arab men keep him in business. He said, because they buy thousands of dollars worth of black women porno from him. He said, they can't get enough of the black woman. He said, the Arab men in Chicago, he said, they buying thousands of dollars of porno from him, and the only thing they want is that black woman. You see what I'm saying? They can't get enough of that black woman. So if you don't want her, them Arab show is jacking off on her right now. Booty Talk 75. Baby got back. See what I'm saying? More better ass. You see? So I'm just trying. So moving right along. Let's go into a little bit of PowerPoint right quick. Let's go into a little bit of PowerPoint right quick.
Bobby, wait till after the break.
Want to go to break? You want to break now? No, wait a minute. First of all, let me do this. Let me do my commercial. Deborah Blair come up and do an infomercial for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
For an hour before he can get into the lecture. He's buying all his products. See what I'm saying?